So in this section, we will discuss the professional needs for support and supervision, and about care, both for the survivors and the professionals and frontline workers as well. So care support can be provided by people with different roles and ranks. Focusing on the subject of care means giving a non-biased, non-judgmental, deep and respectful attention to the dignity of the person involved. This concerns everyone that it is involved in the care work approach, including the team of professionals, the cultural mediators, external professionals that the survivor might be referred to or referred by in the other professionals, and every service provider associated with this case. So a key objective is to explore new and more efficient care pathways, and a critical tool to achieve this is by raising awareness in the case management process and trying always to ensure that all associated professionals focus on the same thing, that it is the subject of care. In this context, sharing available information that are relevant between the professional is a critical tool and can relate to COI, country of origin information of the survivors, so can be related to cultural, political, financial aspects of their everyday life. Sharing methodology and good practices is very important. Analysis of complex cases and experience of the care providers involved could also be the case. I mean, lessons learned from specific collaboration and interactions of different organizations and actors, but also from professionals of the same organization that are leading and working together on a case. So the aforementioned tools can be integrated by the professionals to both support survivors who are actively experiencing trauma or MHPSS issues, and to proactively avoid re-traumatizing the persons. Other than these tools, professionals should always have access to education and training provided by their agency or by external organization and actors, as well as clinical supervision. So clinical supervision is very important. Staff support groups with the presence of an external psychologist is essential, and it's very supportive to the care workers, and also interdisciplinary staff groups, meetings where the persons of the same team are gathered per week or per month are very important to discuss coordination issues, to discuss on the case and challenges, and also seminars and workshops, educational trainings as mentioned before. The professionals need support as their experience has conscious and unconscious effects on the beneficiaries. Additional difficulties and deadlocks for employees may have an impact on the working relationship with the survivors. Sometimes we see people that feel that they are willing to support, but underestimate beneficiaries' potential for resilient and positive advertising reactions. That is something that we always have to take into account. And also sometimes the savior approach or the savior role that we described before might lead the professionals to be apathetic or to create a distance from the professionals, from the beneficiaries, and this sometimes leads also to the reduction of time spent with them and has an impact on their support. We discussed the importance of supervision. Sometimes professionals and frontline workers that work for long periods in the field, if they are not supported, if they are not, if they don't have access to clinical supervision, they are also experiencing burnout. Sometimes we need to distinguish, of course, between day-to-day stress, that it is something that happens every day with our work, so stressful insights and incidents that we experience there. Of course, this differs from cumulative stress, that is something that needs time, and also it results to a specific challenge from day to day, and also high anxiety resulting from serious events or critical incident stress, as we call it, is, let's say, a third pillar, a third stage of this process that leads to the real burnout. So self-care is also very important, about apart from access to clinical supervision. As professionals, we might take a moment to think, what actions do we undertake to take care of ourselves at work? Also, what actions does our team take to take care of each and every one of us? And also, what other means can we use to take better care of ourselves so that we can take care of others, of the beneficiaries, of the survivors more effectively? Now we will try to open the floor for good practices and promising practices while supporting e-trafficking survivors. So the service provision for the support of the e-trafficking survivors must focus on physical, on psychological, and on social recovery through appropriate and secure accommodation, first of all, through psychological and material assistance, that's very important, through the access to emergency medical treatment, through interpretation and translation services when appropriate, also through counseling and information regarding the legal rights of the survivors, assistance to support on the criminal proceedings against the offenders, access to education for both children and adults is very important, and of course, access to work. When we're speaking about good practices, this is usually related to different fields, the fields of health, the fields of housing, the fields of education and vocational trainings, the fields of employment and reintegration. In all these fields, the good practices should all meet or aim to meet these following criteria. First of all, be sustainable in the long term, as this is very crucial for the survivors that they are trying to build up their lives, being in the survivor role. Be accessible for all survivors of trafficking. They should take a gender perspective and empowerment strategy as a point of departure. Also, take human rights standards as a basis, in particular access to basic social services. Have a positive collaboration between government and non-governmental organization that is not usually the case for every country, and also show respect for diversity, resulting in a tailor-made support. So when we're speaking about prevention programs, in general, prevention activities may be understood to include any intervention that it is aiming at reducing or eliminating the likelihood of human trafficking and re-trafficking. So prevention programs are typically divided into four categories. The first one is changing the overall context or environment in which trafficking in persons occurs. So social, cultural, economic, or political context and environment. Secondly, addressing one or more variables associated with an individual, for example, a potential victim, that may contribute to a heightened risk or vulnerability. For example, if a person doesn't have information on a process or a topic, family crisis, economic problems as well. The third category is targeting the criminals and establishing deterrence in the form of an effective justice system. And the fourth one is increasing the ability of officials, of authorities, of professionals to identify potential trafficking in persons cases prior, of course, to the occurrence of the trafficking exploitation, and to enable these individuals to intervene appropriately. So border crossings are very crucial, or airports, or any other area that the survivors are meeting authority officials. So next, we will speak about raising awareness. Awareness as a prevention tool is based on the premise that information can help individuals to anticipate, to recognize and avoid the many ways that the traffickers use deception or coercion against them. So in several respects, awareness serves as a foundation upon which other elements of a successful anti-trafficking strategies are built, of course. So without first establishing a minimum level of understanding of human trafficking, it is impossible to identify victims of trafficking or to provide assistance or to garner the political will that it is needed to combat trafficking in persons. So there is a variety of awareness raising approaches that have been utilized in EU countries and the States, including helplines and hotlines to disseminate information, putting on trafficking awareness events, for example, concerts, theater productions, street performances. In Greece and Athens last year, we had the theatrical play on trafficking in persons. Developing and broadcasting television public services announcements is also very important. Hosting radio or television programs so that people have access to this information. Also, creating documentary films, dramatic depictions for the television, or disseminating information through posters, flyers, and other printed materials. Something that we see also more often now in Greece, placing billboards or informational materials on public transportation could be also an approach. Distributing giveaways like t-shirts, pens or bags or notebooks for the students. Conducting training seminars, of course, for specific audiences like government officials, law enforcement, journalists, students, teachers, and also social services and medical practitioners. Sometimes working with religious leaders and institutions on outreach can be successful. Carrying out empowerment programs or holding conferences and lectures on this subject. Running summer camps for the youth, or preparing curricula for use in schools and trainings for the teachers. Also drawing contests and debates for students is very interesting and common practice. Also in Greece, last year we had a drawing contest on trafficking that was organized by UNICEF and the National Rapporteur for Trafficking in Persons. Creating cartoons and animations for the children, or placing trafficking awareness advertisements in newspapers and magazines can also be the case. So apart from awareness raising activities, vocational programs that assist in job placement should be on the counterpiece of the prevention programs. The service provided may include workshops on job search, the strategies needed, or assistance with resume writing or interviewing techniques. Training seminars on job skill development and entrepreneurship can also be important. Vocational and technical skill courses, internships, and mentoring programs many times are successful and helpful on this reintegration phase for the survivors. Job placement assistance as well, and post-employment counseling sometimes is also important. Typically, these programs also have empowerment components that address self-esteem and self-confidence as issues for potential victims or for survivors. This slide is a picture on a workshop organized by DRC Greece in collaboration with ECA, with the National Center for Social Solidarity. It was a thematic workshop for women potential victims of trafficking in Attica. It took place in our premises in the municipal market of Kypseli. And it was a successful workshop on a series on labor exploitation, prevention and protection, to provide information to the women participants. This is also a picture from a similar action under the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. I think that was all. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot for your attention.